Ha. Remember to turn the mic back on. Okay, sorry about that. Good evening. Um, so yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Good evening on this fond, loving, wonderful October 2nd. Somebody last night said they had trouble hearing me in the comments, so I turned down my capture card volume, because I actually don't think it was that I was too quiet. I think it's that the game was too loud. And then I turned the volume off for the intro video that I just used, and didn't turn it back on. So if you couldn't hear me at the beginning, that's why. Anyways, we're sort of continuing where we left off last night, and tonight we are playing Ghosts and Goblins on the NES, but we're actually playing on the Switch, which you can tell, because down there at the bottom there's that select button, start button junk, which I wish you could turn that off, and I wish you could either have a plain black background or the publishers would do something fun and put like optional backgrounds, but like the ones in last night's game in the Capcom arcade cabinet, but it's just gray and black dots. So as previously mentioned, that's what you get when you sit naked in a graveyard. So this is once again Ghosts and Goblins, but this is the NES port, which was handled by Micronix, which was either one or two people, depending on what source you believe. And as you can see, it does not look nearly as good as the arcade version. Move the mic a little more in front of my face, and die because of it. So I'm going to be hanging out for about a half hour tonight and playing some Ghosts and Goblins. See, there's pixel shimmer. I don't know if you can see it that well on there, but there's pixel shimmer, and I don't think there are no display options. And obsessing about this stuff is getting me killed very quickly. So that just kind of bugs me. I mean, it looks fine. It's not terrible. It's not the worst pixel shimmer I've seen, but there is a little bit there, for sure. So, I mentioned in, I think it was the Trojan video, that I don't think this port is very good, and that a lot of people I know don't think this port is very good. And I had some people comment and say, like, who doesn't like this port, or who doesn't think this port is good? And I guess it's because it's kind of out there. It was part of the NES Classic. Now it's on the Switch's Nintendo Entertainment System for Nintendo Switch Online or whatever ridiculous. Hey, Ashichi, boom. But pretty much everybody I know thinks that this port is not very good. Hey, another Yoshichi, except I died. Yeah, pretty much everybody I know thinks this port is not very good. So, sorry if you do think it's good. It's not it's probably one of the best things Micronix ever did, particularly in those early days, and it's definitely better than their port of 1941. And a lot of that stuff, but it's still not a good port. Yoshichi. Continue. Why, yes, I will. I think you get infinite continues in this port, pretty sure. This is also one of those games where it's sort of like, why bother with the continues? Because I continue in the exact same place where I would have picked up if I'd just lost a life. Whoops. As we discussed a little bit yesterday, it's very difficult to get an armor, not even an upgrade, because you can't get an armor upgrade at all, but it's very difficult to get an armor pickup or replacement armor in this game. And that has not really changed in this port. Can't catch the key in this version. Only it wasn't until Ghouls and Ghosts that the innovation of catching a key became a thing. Yeah, and I think they use some horizontal interpolation. At least that's what the guys in My Life in Gaming said. But I still see a little bit of pixel shimmer. God, this is just—it's so stiff. This version. By which I mean the NES version, not specifically this version on the Switch, but the NES version is... yeah. Yoshichi. This game... Also, I mean, this song is great, but this game could stand to have a few more music tracks in all the versions. Whoops. Well, at least I got a checkpoint, right? Right. Yeah, it could stand to have a little variation in the music in this game. Later installments, of course, had a ton of great music on the soundtracks. I love the soundtrack for Ghouls and Ghosts, which I will be diving into, I suspect, later this week. Tomorrow night's the normal stream. There's been some discussion of, you know, what that is going to entail. I think there will be a spooky stream and a regular stream. I think the regular stream might be Spider-Man on PS4, and then I'll find something spooky that is, you know, probably Ghouls and Ghosts. Wow. I'll probably move on to Ghouls and Ghosts tomorrow for at least a little bit. And then we'll do a regular stream. Or we'll do a regular stream first, and then I'll do Ghouls and Ghosts after. Might be Spider-Man, might be something else. Might be Mega Man 11. Since apparently I'm just about a half step away from just becoming a Capcom fan channel. That was terrible. That was lame. And so was that. Yikes. Those dudes are just as annoying as ever. So I'm not even gonna deal with that dude on the first floor. We're just going up. That's it. We're going past this dude. They don't aggro quite as much here as in the arcade game. I mean, they do, but it seems like it takes a little more to get them to run at you. Birds. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Because of course. This version, I think, is even harder than the arcade version. Nick Infante 1992 says hello. Hello, Nick. I hope you're doing well this evening. Hope you're getting into the Halloween spirit of things, hanging out with me playing Ghosts and Goblins. And poorly at that. Oh, that was... I probably should have died there. But oh well. Nope. Just not dealing with these guys. Just don't have time for these guys tonight. Big ugly ogre. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Got him. Is there extra armor somewhere around here? Please give me another suit of armor. No armor for me, apparently. And that bird totally was blending into the background, and I did not see it. So yeah, I'm playing this again on the Nintendo Switch Online NES collection, which is really the main reason that I am paying the $20 a year for Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, I think I have legitimate copies of all of the games included, and I also have an NES EverDrive, so I have, you know, semi-nefarious copies of a lot of them, but, or I could, I guess, is really the moral of that story, but, I'm dead, because of course, but yeah, having them portable, I think, is pretty cool. And when a company makes something available to me, I do like to sort of shell out for it. You know, if it's given, you know, given the opportunity to pay for something in an official context, I like to pay the publisher. The designer, it would be better, you know, if I could pay the people who actually made it rather than people who just published it, but, you know, we all know how that works. I am almost certainly totally hosed here. Not having a good night with ghouls and ghosts, ghosts and goblins, I should say. Ghosts and Goblins. They took a series that actually had a pretty straightforward series of names in Japan and made it really confusing. In Japan, they are Makaimura is the first one, this game that I'm playing right now. Then Dai Makaimura. Then what was the one after that? What was Super Ghouls and Ghosts? That bird, that was nonsense. Cho Makaimura. And then the PSP game was Goku Makaimura. So Makaimura is sort of, the rough translation is Demon World Village. So, which is, you know, kind of weird. Again, that's a pretty rough translation, I think. But Mura is village or town, like in Osaka, Japan, there is a sort of American-themed neighborhood, sort of like the reverse of Chinatown or Japantown in some major American cities. There's the reverse of that, and it's called Amerikamura. America Town or America Village. So Mura is that. So Makai, I don't know why it's called Demon World Village, because Makai, I think, is demon or gremlin or something along those. The Japanese have a lot of names for demons and devils, and I'm not sure. They're sort of used interchangeably, similarly to how we use them. Like Akuma can be demon or devil. So Akuma Joe is Demon Castle, so Demon Castle Dracula, Akumajo Dracula, Akumajo Densetsu, Castlevania series. Those are so Makai is along those lines, but I think, and my Japanese is a little rusty because I took a lot of Japanese in college, and I would say conversationally fluent at one point. But it has been a long time. But I think Makai has a more sort of playful context than Akuma. Wasn't getting around that one. So I don't know why people translate it Demon World Village, but Demon Village or Goblin Village or something along that would be the translation, more exact translation. And then Dai Makaimura, which is ghouls and ghosts to us, is a big Demon World Village. And then we had Cho Makaimura, which is this version really ups the bird content from the arcade original. It's really hard to kill the ogres when the birds just come and destroy you from behind. And as we talked about last night when I was taking on the Red Armors, or the Red Devils, Arthur's not especially mobile. So that's the big thing in this game, and really in Castlevania as well. The enemies are just a lot more mobile than you are. So I know the Angry Video Game Nerd says avoid the torch and get the knife, but as we discovered last night, the torch is actually very powerful in this game. We just need to move this dude over a little bit. The torch is very powerful and does a lot of damage. I see that bird flew right over my head. Good job, bird. Now, obviously, I will swap this torch for a knife in a hot second if the dagger drops somewhere, but I tend to be of the opinion that the torch is... Don't jump in the water. The torch is maybe better than the lance situationally. Now see here, in this version, they added a gap between these two platforms, as you see. So I can't do the dropping trick that I was using in the arcade version last night, where you just sort of drop like a stone. I can't do that there, or I will die. Alright, let's see if we can aggro just one of these unicorn. Unicorn, it's a weird name for these guys, but that's what they call them. Got him. Yes. I was hoping I'd get at least as far as I got in the arcade version. So there we go. We'll see if I have a little easier time with the Red Armors in this version. Those bats come all the way down from the ceiling, which, if you recall, during last night's session, they do not. I do not want to get turned into a frog. Yeah, so, I don't think I'd finished discussing the names. So, that was nonsense. So yeah, in Japan we had, Makai Mora, Dai Makai Mora, Cho Makai Mora, Goku Makai Mora. It's a lot easier. Makai Mora Gaiden. I believe all three of the Demon's Crest, Gargoyle's Quest, Demon's Crest, I think all three of them. I don't even know. Okay. I believe all three of them were Makai Mora Gaiden, Makai Mora Gaiden, the Demon Darkness, and I don't remember what Demon's Crest was called in Japan, but I think it was Makai Mora Gaiden something or other as well. So again, consistent. Here we got Ghosts and Goblins, and then rather than like Ghosts and Goblins 2 or Big Ghosts and Goblins to stay in line with the arcade, or the Japanese rather, we went from Ghosts and Goblins to Ghouls and Ghosts to Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And I recently found out, this cracks me up, I found out recently, basically through the magic of YouTube, that there are a lot of people who think that Ghouls and Ghosts and Super Ghouls and Ghosts are the same game, because, you know, Super Nintendo games did that thing where they just threw Super on at the front, you know, so obviously, you know, we had Ghouls and Ghosts, and then we had Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and it's just a different port of the same game. But no, Super Ghouls and Ghosts is a completely different game. It's the sequel to Ghouls and Ghosts. And then we had Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. So I don't know why for the fourth game, for the revival, we went back to the Ghosts and Goblins name. I don't know why Capcom USA did that, but they did. I mean, it should have been Ghosts and Goblins 2, Ghosts and Goblins 3, Ghosts and Goblins 4, or whatever, but switching back and forth between Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. Okay, and just ducking at the beginning is apparently the answer. That's the hot tip on how to avoid that. Yeah, see, this is the problem with the torch. Oh, there we go, got the knife. If you're not judicious with your torches, you will end up throwing them, and then they have to burn out before you can throw another one, which obviously is not great. It leaves you defenseless because you can only throw 2 at a time. But now that we've got the knife, I'm not going to say our worries are over, but I'm going to say that I think our chances of getting to the end of this stage and beating the boss are better than they were in the arcade version last night, when I did not have the dagger. And, yeah, we're going to give this, you know, another 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see where we get to, but I got a lot of stuff going on this evening, so this is going to be a shorter one than yesterday's. Now, see, I took down that red Aramar with no problem now that I have the dagger. Pig in a blanket. Oh, come on. That's the Micronics factor right there. Jumping on that wall and getting stuck and not being able to jump up to the next platform. That's Micronics in action. Pause that. The other thing is the music. The sound effects are... You know, the tunes themselves, similar to the arcade version, the actual songs, you know, the melodies and everything are great, but Micronics didn't do a great job with the music, and in fact, they used the noise channel for some of the sound effects, as well as in the music, so certain things you'll hear them cut out. You'll hear certain parts of the music cut out when you throw a weapon or when it hits something or whatever. You'll hear that the certain aspects of the music drop out because, yeah. Got him. Now, I mentioned this. Never mind. Moot point. I was going to say there is, I believe, an armor, an extra armor, replacement armor around there. But I got hit before I could try to even look for it, so much for that. You know what I just realized? I think that in this version, because Micronix did a less than stellar job porting it, you can actually make the red armors disappear. Maybe it's not all of them, but I think there's a way to, with some of them you can kind of like, if you get them on the screen and then walk away, they vanish. Sort of like, there's some similar tricks in Ninja Gaiden. Come on, man. He's the bane of the existence of anyone who's played a game in this series. I guess unless the only games in the series you've played are the Gargoyle's Quest or Demon's Crest titles, then he's not, because you play as him. The tragedy of those games is you don't get to kill Arthur just over and over again. Which would be funny if that was... like if that was the crux of the Firebrand games, was like, you just kill Arthur over and over again. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as I was saying last night, this is one where, you know, this game was really laying a foundation for, you know, what would eventually become a really great series of games, in my opinion. But this first one it's rough. I'm glad that Capcom saw something in it. Probably money. They probably made a bunch of money, which is not... I mean, that's the thing. If I was playing this in the arcade, how many quarters would I drop? How many quarters would I drop into it last night? I wasn't keeping track. I should have been keeping track. Just for funsies. How much money would I have spent? Did it get me back the, like, $8 I paid for the Capcom arcade cabinet on sale? No, go away. Well, this is getting tiresome. We'll see if I can I'm going to give it 2 more continues. Yeah, so this set of lives and the next set of lives. Camaristico says, I always wondered why these games were so unnecessarily hard. It hindered my ability to enjoy them fully. Yeah, I mean, the answer is quarters, right? They were made to munch quarters. But yeah, I think that is not, you're not the only one. I think a lot of people really did not dig these games, and still really do not, especially this one. And again, even as someone who is a fan of this series, I don't, like, what am I supposed to do there? And this version, you know, in the sequel, you can fire up and down, but here, just left or right. And the red armors are just so much more mobile than Arthur. They can shoot in any direction they want. So I think a lot of people don't enjoy these games because of the difficulty. But there's a certain type of person, you know. But even modern hard games, they feel more fair in a lot of ways. Like this game, especially this one. The later games in the series a little less so, but this one just straight up feels unfair. Like when you try to turn around to shoot a thing behind you and don't turn around. I'm gonna blame my Chronics for that one. You know, later games in the series are a little more hard, but even stuff like Super Meat Boy, or you know, if you tuned into the stream a couple weeks ago when I was doing the White Palace and Hollow Knight, like, they're hard, but there's a sort of consistency to them that a game like this just doesn't necessarily have. Oh, I thought I despawned him, but no. Oh, and he killed me. Should have walked away. That's what I should have done. Walked away and come back. Got him. Okay, I got the first one with my armor intact, so let's see if we have any luck here. Camaristico says, I see you dying in the same spot, and I feel 8-year-old me throwing a massive rage tantrum. That's legit. That's totally legit. And again, the fact that Micronix didn't do a stellar job with this port, like, kind of just makes it worse. Of course. Of course. Okay, let's continue. See where we get. We've been going for about 35 minutes, so eat dinner, and then got some stuff going on this evening. So plans to hang out with my wife and whatnot. So we're gonna do one more, continue, see if maybe we can see the boss. We saw the dragon boss yesterday. That's sort of where things ended. So we'll see where things go tonight. Things are not looking up right now. Like, the thing that tells you enough about this series is that even when you watch speedruns of these games, the speedrunners always say things to the effect of, like, yeah, getting a good run in this game is basically luck, because there's so much RNG. There's so much RNG in these games, and actually there's an adaptive difficulty in the second one, so speedrunners apparently die on purpose towards the end of the first loop. Because, of course, everybody's actual favorite feature of these games is that you have to beat them all twice to see the ending. or you have to play through all the levels twice to beat them once, right? So apparently I just jumped right into that. That was terrible. But yeah, speedrunners apparently die on purpose at a certain part of Ghouls and Ghosts to sort of fix the adaptive difficulty to make the second loop not as hard. So that tells you, and again, the people who have the world records in most of these games in this series put it down to luck. So there you have it. So yeah, that's and you know what's even worse is they ported this port to the Game Boy Color. So they didn't do a new version, they just took the Micronix version and put it on the Game Boy Color at one point. It's the same super hard, borderline broken Micronix port, but now the resolution is like tiny. So you can't see where the birds are coming from and where the red devils are, and it's got to be nearly impossible to beat the Game Boy Color version. So yeah, tomorrow, regular stream at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, as is the norm, and that probably Spider-Man, I guess. I'm not sure. And then I'll do something spooky aside from that, or maybe if nobody has any other, if nobody really wants to see Spider-Man or nobody's super into it or whatever, I'll just do a spooky stream in the normal time slot. We'll see. We haven't ironed that all out yet. So yeah, but it'll be exciting, whatever it is. So thanks for hanging out, and see you tomorrow for another of the 31 Nights of Horror Games 2018.